Sun rises from that
curves,
maybe so it's gonna be really hard to get
a lot
light
of
in this
skylight
part
here.
of the build.
What happens when you try to design something? First, your mind starts to expand. You expand your mind's vision into a whole lot of tangents that might not really make a lot of sense in the beginning. But then these are the ingredients that you can use to focus and then narrow down a direction. And then you do this over and over again. You expand and you narrow. You expand and you narrow. This process is deeply human. It's based on our experiences, our emotions, or our taste. Some might even say it's based on our soul. A portion of this video is sponsored by Hostinger. So how could AI possibly know anything about this? And is it possible for us to use AI without losing our human touch? You know, being an architect, I actually thought coming up with the graphic design idea for my brand was going to be easy. It's not. The scope is definitely smaller, but it still follows the non-linear process, and in some ways I feel like it's actually harder because you don't really have any constraints. The constraints, as you know, set up the guidelines for your project. In architecture, even if your client gives you complete freedom, you still have the physical constraints of the site, the sun, the wind, the topography. And all of those things help you shape the building. These limitations can give you clues as to what to focus on and what to highlight and what to neglect. And without these limitations, you can get really lost in the process. So aside from the general graphic constraints, I need to identify some other parameters that's going to help me guide the design. A brand is ideally something that's unique, something that stands out. Not just a logo or a name, but a recognizable and a consistent identity that embodies your values or your personality or your reputation. This was the majority of our conversations at the beginning of 2023.
Oh yeah, this edit looks really cool, but I think we need something a little bit more. Like, I think we need to animate those people.
Oh.
Make them dance. I think you should make them dance.
Sure. No, I mean, it's a great idea. We're not going to be able to publish for tomorrow if you do that.
Well, we can if you do an all-nighter.
Oh, sure. Great idea. Let's do it then. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, problem solved.
Problem solved. Yeah.
We were constantly frustrated. We wanted to keep increasing the quality of our videos, but at the same time, we were bound to a 1 video a week schedule. We tried to hire more people, but training someone to think like you, that can actually take a lot of time and a lot of resources that we didn't really have. That's when we had to really put a stop to things and try to evaluate. What was our goal? What were we trying to do? What was our vision? So the vision statement that we came up with is to introduce architecture to a broader audience and to inspire people to see the world through a new perspective. And these were some of the descriptive words that we came up with to describe the channel. This actually gave us the insights and the direction that we needed to make some really drastic changes to the channel, to reduce the number of videos, but increase the quality of everything we're putting out. So now that we have these descriptive words, we can use these as parameters to create our design. When you hear some of these words, some images will come to your mind depending on your experience, your taste, or your intuition. Like creative, insightful, energetic. I think bold, bright colors. Or inspiring, or thought-provoking, or discovery. I think of a light coming through in a dark room, or a spotlight in a dark stage. Expert or well-researched, it makes me think of black and white, line work, or maybe someone looking through a looking glass. On a t-shirt or merch, I think simpler the better, so I want to keep the drawings simple, minimal, 2D line work with flat colors. So all of these images make up a part of my design parameters. So typically I'll go to Pinterest or Google and just start collecting a bunch of images in a folder, and this will become a part of my ideation board. But now with AI, you can do the exact same process, but you can generate a lot more images, a lot more specific images, a lot faster. We used to subscribe to a stock footage website where we gather stock photos or videos, but Now we just search for those images on Midjourney and we can get specific images in high res and very creative images a lot faster than going through the archive. But you still have to do the work of actually translating the words into images, because we did try putting these words, our descriptive words, directly into Midjourney, and this is what we got. This branding process gave me some time to think about redesigning my own website, which I wasn't a huge fan of. We ended up using Hostinger's all-in-one solution to migrate everything, including my online portfolio, the resources, and the company website. Hostinger offers everything from fast, cloud-based worldwide servers, free email, domain management, and WordPress optimization. They also have an AI-powered website builder, which can help you write copy, create iterations of your logo, and it also has an AI heat map tool, which can help you optimize your website. But if you're missing that human touch, they do have a 24/7 customer service that's always there for you. They also have a super competitive pricing plan that's broken up into different tiers so that it can meet any budget or traffic needs. If you're looking to build a brand or online portfolio, or you're looking for a quick and easy way to migrate everything from an existing platform like us, you can use the code DAMILEE to get 10% off on all the plans. So over here, we tried to do something with ARCHIBEANS, because that's the name of my Discord community. And you might be asking, why ARCHIBEANS? First, we thought it kind of sounds like archi-beings, like architecture beings. And then, you know, beans, they sprout, so they're associated with growth. And we also thought, you know, ARCHIBEANS, it sounds really cute and simple, and a bean itself is visually very minimal. Each bean has its own characteristics, so we thought it would be cool if people could associate themselves with the bean. Like, oh my god, I'm totally a lima bean. No, you're such a pinto bean. So this is where it gets really interesting. First, I asked ChatGPT, what are the different types of beans and their characteristics? And then I asked, what style of architecture would you associate with each type of bean? And some of the answers were really creative. Garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas, are small and round, and their beige color could be associated with Islamic or Moorish architecture, which features intricate geometric patterns and decorative details. And so I took some of these ideas into Midjourney. Originally, I was thinking that the buildings could be coming out of the bean, like this. But actually, I liked Midjourney's ideas better, that the bean forms an enclosure and it becomes more like an atrium space. But when we tried putting it on a t-shirt, it just didn't really look great. It just seems like it's something designed more for a 3D object, and we could definitely print it in our 3D printer, but we didn't really want to go into that level of production. I'm really into this idea of a labyrinth and a maze, because for me, they represent a non-linear and sometimes painfully long process. A labyrinth is the longest route to the center, and during the medieval times, it was actually used for meditative purposes. Because there's no other possible routes that you can go into, even though the route is extremely long and arduous, you know that eventually you're going to get to the center. A maze will lead you to zigzags and dead ends, but just like a labyrinth, eventually you will get to the end. So for me, this is representative of a non-linear process. Like whether you're learning something or whether you're creating something, you kind of just have to have faith in the process, because eventually you'll get there. So I tried a bunch of different iterations of the labyrinth, but none of them really worked for me. They just look all too complex and it just doesn't look good on a t-shirt. It kind of looks like a microchip. Looks really gamery, which isn't really what I'm going for. But then again, there are people who... design can be really subjective. So let's
take a hint from these guys and maybe not go such a literal route, yeah? So maybe instead of doing a literal labyrinth, maybe we could do something, you know, a little bit more figurative. On the front side, we have a perfect axo of a building. And then on the back side, you can have this kind of non-linear process. These ones, I was playing around with different geometric shapes and bold colors. And when I saw this image, it immediately made me think of light pouring down a hole, like the Pantheon. The Pantheon is one of the most recognizable structures, but what makes it so incredibly magical, it's not just the structure itself, but it's the light. It comes alive when the light enters the building. It's the intangible thing that makes it special. You need to really look, and you need to spend time there if you really want to learn the essence of this building. But when you do, it's magical. This is definitely aligned to my personal design philosophy. You know, I really hate things that are just so in your face. And I think it reflects the philosophy of the channel as well. I want to present things in a way that when you really spend time to understand something, even the things that seem extremely mundane can be really interesting. You know, inspiration is a big ethos of the channel, and I really like how when you put a person here, it looks like, you know, a moment of inspiration or like a stroke of genius. So maybe it has like a dark background and a light foreground with the person. So I like this idea. So I want to do a series based on this theme. Anyways, you can see how compared to a traditional process, you can generate a lot more ideas. And once you have that, you can very quickly go through a process of elimination to see which one works, which one doesn't work, or which one you want to tweak to make it work. This is what I would call the narrowing process. You expand and then you narrow. So now that we have the idea, we can move into the design. And the idea is a series of buildings that come alive with non-tangible elements like light or water. I did try asking ChatGPT for some suggestions, but it gave me some really generic answers. And I actually have a reason for this. This is the Brainstorming Cemetery by Carlos Scarpa. And these are things that I noticed only because I happen to be at this particular spot in this building at a particular time of the day. If I went there on a cloudy day, I probably would have never seen this light effect. And because ChatGPT doesn't have the personal experience of going there for now, it has a much harder time giving answers like this. So anyways, I've personally gone ahead and selected a series of buildings that I think have this mysterious quality. Okay, so now we get into the expansion process again. We tried a bunch of different iterations of the same design so that we had a clear direction for the rest of the images. This one has a photorealistic background with geometric shapes and bright colors in the foreground. We generated this person with Midjourney. We found an image of the style that we were looking for, and we remixed it with our own prompt to get this geometric pixelation. We tried a bunch of different variations of the same image to get exactly what we were looking for. And then we brought it into Illustrator to tweak the colors. We also tried an option with line work as the background, which we catted up so that we could get this perfect circle. And then we played around with doing a more messy scribble look for the foreground in bold colors. We also tried to get this image through Midjourney, but couldn't quite get it to what we were looking for, so we ended up hand sketching this. When you're designing with AI and you have a pretty specific idea in mind, you will pretty quickly realize what's going to be faster, to keep generating prompts with AI or to just make it yourself. Or if you have an intern, they can do it for you. So Then we would compare these two. We didn't really like how this was creating an arbitrary canvas on the t-shirt. So we decided to go with the line work option and lower the opacity around the edges so the whole t-shirt becomes the canvas. I think it's a lot simpler, it's less ink, and it looks a little bit more elegant. But because we only had an image of the top half of this person, it didn't really work with this option. So we sketched out a simple silhouette of a person. We iterated through a bunch of images to get this mosaic look. And we used this to fill in the silhouette. And we landed on this image. Then we used this theme for all of our other images. Even when we were selecting the t-shirts themselves, we went through so many options and so many iterations. It had to feel soft and durable and be 100% cotton. If you want one for yourself, you can head over to the link in the description. For the next 3 months, you can get 20% off your purchase if you use the code BEANS. Whether you're designing with AI or manually, you don't really know what's going to work until you try it. So it's best to try coming up with a bunch of different options, expand, and then you eliminate, you narrow. Because design is still an iterative and a non-linear process. AI allows you to expand a lot farther than what you could do on your own, but the narrowing, that's still on you. So it doesn't really matter what tools you use as long as you have these foundational skills. So let me know what you guys think about our designs and our process. And of course, if you like the designs, feel free to check out the merch down below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.